The starship Elysium drifted silently through the void, its sleek hull reflecting the faint light of a distant sun. On board, Lieutenant Commander Alara Voss sat in the command chair, her sharp green eyes scanning the holographic displays that floated before her. The ship was on a routine reconnaissance mission, mapping uncharted sectors of the galaxy. It was supposed to be boring, safe, predictable. She had no idea what was coming. "Lieutenant," Alara called out, her voice calm but commanding. "Any anomalies on the long-range scanners?" Lieutenant Jax, a wiry man with a knack for finding trouble, shook his head. "Nothing, Commander. Just empty space and a few rogue asteroids. It's quieter than a graveyard out here." Alara frowned. Something felt off. She couldn't put her finger on it, but her instincts were screaming at her. She had learned long ago to trust her gut. It had saved her life more times than she could count. "Run another diagnostic on the sensors," she ordered. "I don't like this silence." Commander," Jax replied, his fingers dancing across the console. Alara leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. The Elysium was one of the most advanced ships in the fleet, equipped with state-of-the-art technology. If there's something out there, it should have picked it up by now. And yet, "Commander," Jax's voice cut through her thoughts like a knife. "I'm picking up something on the edge of sensor range. It's huge." Alara's heart skipped a beat. "Define huge, Lieutenant." "I can't, ma'am. The sensors are struggling to get a clear reading. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Alara's frown deepened. "Put on the main screen." The holographic display shifted, and Alara's breath caught in her throat. The object was massive, easily the size of a small moon. Its surface was dark and jagged, like a piece of broken obsidian. But what really sent a chill down her spine was the way it seemed to pulse, as if it were alive. "What the hell is that?" Jax whispered, his voice trembling. Alara didn't answer. She couldn't. Her mind was racing, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. It didn't match any known celestial phenomenon. It didn't match anything. "Raise the shields," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "And bring the weapons online, just in case." "Aye, Commander," Jax replied, his hands moving quickly over the controls. The Elysium's shields flared to life, a shimmering barrier of energy surrounding the ship. The weapon systems hummed as they powered up, ready to unleash a devastating barrage if necessary. But Alara had a sinking feeling that it wouldn't be enough. The object was getting closer. With each passing second, it grew larger on the screen, its dark surface swallowing the light from the stars around it. And then, without warning, it stopped. For a moment, there was silence. The crew of the Elysium held their breath, waiting for something, anything, to happen. And then it did. A beam of pure darkness lanced out from the object, striking the Elysium's shields with a force that shook the ship to its core. Alara was thrown from her chair, slamming into the console behind her. Pain shot through her side, but she ignored it, scrambling to her feet. "Report," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Shields are down to 40%. Jack shouted, his face pale. "Whatever that thing is, it's tearing through them like paper." Alara's mind raced. They couldn't take another hit like that. They had to do something. But what? "Evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Get us out of here." The Elysium lurched as the pilot threw the ship into a series of desperate twists and turns, trying to avoid the dark beam. But it was no use. The object was too fast, too precise. Another beam struck the shields, and this time they collapsed entirely. The ship shuddered violently, and Alara heard the sickening sound of metal tearing. Warning lights flashed on the console, and the air was filled with the acrid smell of burning circuits. "We've lost main power," Jack shouted. "Engines are offline. We're dead in the water." Alara's heart sank. They were sitting ducks. And that thing out there, it wasn't done with them yet. The object began to move again, closing the distance between them with terrifying speed. Alara could see it clearly now, its surface rippling like liquid shadow. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, a nightmare given form. And then, without warning, it stopped. The Elysium was enveloped in darkness, the stars outside the viewport blotted out by the object's massive bulk. Alara felt a cold sweat break out on her forehead. What was it waiting for? The answer came a moment later. A voice filled the bridge, deep and resonant, speaking in a language that Alara didn't understand. But somehow, she knew what it was saying. We are the harbingers. You are not worthy. And then, the object began to change. Its surface rippled and shifted, forming tendrils of darkness that reached out toward the Elysium. Alara's eyes widened in horror as she realized what was happening. It was going to consume them. All hands, brace for impact, she shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. But the impact never came. Instead, there was a blinding flash of light, and the object recoiled as if struck. Alara shielded her eyes, trying to make sense of what was happening. When the light faded, she saw something that made her heart leap. A ship, but not just any ship. It was sleek and silver, its design unlike anything she had ever seen. And it was between them and the object, its hull glowing with a soft, golden light. What the hell is that? Jax whispered, his voice filled with awe. Alara didn't answer. She couldn't. Her eyes were fixed on the ship, her mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. And then, a voice filled the bridge once more. But this time it was different. It was warm, familiar. This is Captain Elias Kane of the Terran starship Aegis. Hang tight, Elysium. We got this. Alara's breath caught in her throat. Terran? But that was impossible. The Terrans had been extinct for centuries, wiped out in a war that had nearly destroyed the galaxy. And yet, the Aegis moved with a grace and speed that defied belief, its weapons firing beams of golden light that struck the object with devastating force. The object, the Harbinger, recoiled, its surface rippling in pain. It lashed out with tendrils of darkness, but the Aegis dodged them with ease, its movements almost playful. Alara watched in stunned silence as the Aegis engaged the Harbinger, its weapons tearing through the dark entity with terrifying efficiency. It was like watching a predator toying with its prey. The Harbinger had seemed unstoppable, but now it was being destroyed. And then, with a final blinding flash of light, it was over. The Harbinger was gone, reduced to nothing more than a cloud of dissipating shadow. The Aegis turned, its golden hull gleaming in the starlight, and moved toward the Elysium. Alara felt a lump form in her throat as a holographic image appeared on the bridge. It was a man tall and broad-shouldered, with piercing blue eyes and a confident smile. Captain Alara Voss, he said, his voice warm and reassuring. It's been a long time. Alara stared at him, her mind reeling. Captain Kane,